Poll also indicated people believe gun ownership helped stop people from being victims of violent crime, with 57% answering in the affirmative, up from 48% in 2012. The number of people who say gun ownership puts people's safety at risk stayed roughly the same, rising 1 percentage point to 38%. 60% of Democrats polled say they believe gun ownership puts people's safety at risk. The largest demographic shift in attitudes was seen among Black Americans. 54% of respondents said that gun ownership protects the gun owner, up from 29% in just 2012. Washington State is considering a mileage tax on drivers to make up for falling revenues from the gasoline tax. Lawmakers will be voting on a GPS tracking system to report a driver's mileage to the state, which is raising privacy concerns. Other options include a all-you-can-drive flat fee and having drivers self-report mileage to the state. After repeatedly promising no boots on the ground in Iraq and Syria, the Obama administration seems to be reconsidering the idea. President Obama is seeking authorization to allow the use of force against ISIS in those regions, and Secretary of State John Kerry is reportedly insisting on the removal of any language forbidding the use of ground troops. Kerry is quoted by IJ Review as telling the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, quote, President Obama has said he has no intention of deploying combat troops against the Islamic State in Syria, and U.S. troops deployed to Iraq this year are not engaged in frontline combat. But that does not mean we should preemptively bind the hands of the Commander-in-Chief or our commanders in the field in responding to scenarios and contingencies that are impossible to foresee. The Obama administration has recently received criticism from both Republicans and Democrats for failing to submit details of a plan for a requested authorization for use of military force, or AUMF. And former Vice President Dick Cheney is weighing in on the recently released CIA detention and interrogation report, also known as the, quote, torture report. Cheney was blunt about his feelings, saying, quote, the report's full of crap. Excuse me, I said hooey yesterday, and let me use the real word. The report has stirred controversy, with some arguing it endangers American lives and others debating if the techniques produced any information that helps stop attacks. 3 former CIA directors, George Tenet, Porter Gross, and Michael Hayden, think so, claiming it has led to the capture of senior al-Qaeda operatives, disrupted terror plots, and given us valuable information on the al-Qaeda organization. This has been Amy Curtis with your Vigilant Liberty Radio News from Independent Journal Review for December 12th.
This is The Right Mics with Mike Miller and Michael Hausen. Thank you so much for listening. By the way, just please mark your browser. Go to therightmics.us. That is our website. You can obviously listen to archives of the show there. You can stream it live. Also, we update every day the links and articles and the things that we're talking about and some of the other stuff that's interesting to us. Now, this segment, we have a privilege and an honor. A personal friend of mine here in Southern California, as well as the director of the Politichicks, owner of the Politichicks, one of the partners in that group, also a writer and a total political activist herself. Anne-Marie Morell is with us. Anne-Marie, good morning, or good afternoon, rather.
Hi. Hi, good afternoon. Happy to be with you guys.
Great. Now, how are things on your hillside up in Burbank with all this rain that's been going on, darling?
Well, I don't live in Burbank. I live in Los Angeles. That's for all the crazies out there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry
but
about that.
We're doing good. We're doing very good. No mudslides so far, but it's not over. So who knows? LA can't handle rain, as you know.
Right. I've had 2 people today already say to me, I had an appointment this morning, and I've got a friend driving down from L.A. tonight, and there's already people saying, well, how are you going to drive with all that weather? And I'm like, it's just water.
I know. And I feel so sad for all the people shoveling snow right now and just cursing us.
Well, exactly. I was in Minnesota over Thanksgiving, and I was experiencing literally sub-zero temperatures. It was amazing.
Ew. Why do people live there when they could live somewhere that doesn't have that? I've never really understood.
Most of the people that live places like that love it.
No.
They really do.
They like
Minnesota,
they like being trapped in
Wisconsin.
their house.
They love snow and snowshoeing and all that stuff. They can't wait for winter to come around.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's true. My brother, he and I grew up in San Diego. We both went to school in Santa Barbara. And then 15 years ago, he moved back to Minnesota, and he just said, dude, I would never move to Southern California to save my life.
Mm.
Now,
well,
he would like
the people,
to have
everything
a little
else is pretty
bungalow
good
out
here.
on Coronado Island or down on Balboa Island, I think, for a break.
Yeah, nice.
Okay, well, you know what? We've got a limited amount of time with you, Anne Marie, and there's like 27 things I want your opinion on and your comments on. The first thing we should probably do, why don't you, your book was released a few months ago. We talked about it on my previous show. Give us an update. It looks to me like you have been everywhere on the planet Earth talking about your book. So take a few seconds and explain to our listeners who are not familiar with What Women Want, what the book is, what you're trying to do, and what the reception has been.
The book, What Women Really Want, we've been all over the United States. It's been a lot of fun. It's been in the top 10 on Amazon, Women in Politics, since we launched in September, which is pretty awesome. And it's basically what we're doing. We're combating the whole feminist movement. We believe in femininism, femininism, which is a lot harder to say. But we believe that women should be celebrated as women, men should be celebrated as men, and we should use our powers, our superpowers, for the good of man instead of the destruction of man, which is what the left is trying to do. That's it in a nutshell.
Well, that's obviously a naive, archaic, that's the word.
Archaic. Yeah.
Sorry, archaic is the word. It's a naive, archaic perception and perspective given today. What's the response been? I mean, obviously, that was totally sarcastic and tongue-in-cheek, but you're pushing back against a narrative that's almost completely dominating our culture, and I love it.
Oh, yeah. Well, the response has been really strange because they're not criticizing us as much for what's the content inside the book as they are for what the three of us look like on the outside. They've criticized the cover of the book. They've criticized our appearances and what we look like on television. And they've criticized pretty much everything about us physically. And not anything about the content of our character, the content, the words that we're saying, which I think is very, very telling. You can't combat the truth when you have a big, giant sword of truth you're wielding at these people. So all they can do is call you names and make fun of you, which is what they're doing.
Listen, you hit the nail on the head because, first of all, a conservative woman is wrong to the left. A conservative woman with a successful career, that's wrong. But if you're attractive, then that's absolutely the worst possible combination of all, right?
Oh, yeah. If you wear makeup and fix your hair and wear dresses, you are a Stepford wife. You're trying to serve your husband pie while you're barefoot holding 5 children. No, they have completely ridiculed everything that's actually really good about women and makes us unique and different from men. And it's been really eye-opening for me. And I don't want to give away too much, but our second book is going to be kind of about what I'm telling you right now. We're going to go even stronger against this imbecilic feminist movement, which has done so many. In the beginning, okay, we needed the vote. We needed to be able to vote. We needed basic human rights, of course. But now today's feminist has nothing to do with pretty much anything good for women.
And you know what? I mean, ironically, what you just described and what the three of us know to be true, successful and attractive woman is, other than conservative blacks, I'd argue, is at least the second target. There's the war on women, Anne Marie.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, another thing that we try to point out is the fact that if women really care about women, these feminists who claim that, then why aren't they going after Sharia as strongly as Dina Morgan and I are going? Yeah, I mean, if they really care about women's rights, why are they defending Islam and criticizing us? So that's another thing that we're trying to combat and shine the light of truth on. And that's all we can do is just remind people they are lying. We're telling the truth.
And it's just incredible. I mean, the far left, you don't have to be far left. I mean, liberals generally, John Kerry might as well just go ahead and get it over with and convert to Islam. I mean, the left rushes to defend Islam, says nothing about. You don't even have to go to beheading or stoning women to death in the Middle East. I mean, you could just go to child marriage, i.e. rape. You go to female genital castration. You go to, well, certainly honor killings in the left. I mean, even something as, compared to everything I just said, something as simple as women not being allowed to drive in Saudi Arabia. You add all this stuff up and you hear crickets from the left on that. How much more hypocritical could you be?
Oh, they can be a lot more hypocritical, Mike. And they are.
And they will.
The thing, I spoke in Washington, D.C. at the National Security Summit with Frank Gaffney and some wonderful people. Dr. Ben Carson was there. And I was on a poll. I was on a panel talking about a poll that came out saying that everyone across the board, liberal from far liberal to far extremist right-wing crazies like us, and everyone's number one issue in America right now is national security. That is drastically different from even let's say 12 years ago, where we were mostly concerned about job security and taking care of our homes and family. Now our number one concern by far is wondering what's going to happen with our borders, wondering if we're going to be infiltrated, if we've already been infiltrated. That, to me, is a travesty. That the one thing our government is supposed to protect us from is the one thing that most Americans are concerned that they're not. And I think we've seen proof of that it is not their concern. They're more concerned with appeasing Islam and trying to make friends with barbaric monsters than they are battening the hatches and protecting our country.
Well, absolutely. For that ilk, the enemy is those who would suggest the federal government should spend less, and those folks that are trying to behead us and kill us, those are people that need to be empathized with and understood. Oh,
yeah. And Iran, and let's not discount Iran, who they're trying so hard to work with now because they said they don't want to build up their weapons of mass destruction with nuclear. They only want to power houses with their nuclear program. So how horrible for all of us to doubt what they're telling us, right?
Now, wait a second. Well, hold on a second, Anne-Marie. I don't really like to disagree with guests, especially those that I have a personal friendship with. But where else is Iran going to get power if they don't use nuclear power? I mean, it's not like they've got other opportunities and other sources to produce energy. You wouldn't have them go without any kind of power, would you?
Oh, no, not at all. But you know what? If it comes down to them using their nuclear power and their nuclear capabilities to build weapons, which they will and which is their goal, and I know that we would like to think that they're doing it just to power houses. But, yeah, I hope you're joking a little bit, Michael, because, seriously, their goals are written in the Quran. Their goals throughout Surah 9, it is to kill all the infidels. Their God told them to do so, and they will do it with whatever means and ways they have. So, yeah. Oh, my gosh, my cat is
I was excuse me.
You all right, brother?
Yeah, I am. I was clearly joking because Iran is sitting on fossil fuels. So, yeah, I was being sarcastic, because the last thing that Iran has to be concerned about is a source of energy, because they have one. I mean,